Okay, I need everyone to take a deep breath because Texas Chainsaw Massacre does not start like a movie. It feels like someone left their brain in a microwave and said, "Let's write cinema." The first time I watched this, I genuinely thought I was hallucinating. There I was, minding my business, eating Pringles, and suddenly the movie's like, "Want to see human meat? Want to hear screaming? Want to watch your mental stability exit the building?" This movie is evil, not spooky ghost evil. No, this is, I can smell the sweat through the screen evil. This is hot, sticky, dusty Texas heat that makes you rethink your life choices. It radiates the same energy as when your family says, "Let's take one picture," and suddenly it's a hostage situation. And here's the real mind melter. This movie has almost no blood. Like your chances of surviving a relationship with a man who wears flip-flops year-round? Same amount. And yet it still traumatized an entire generation so badly that grown adults refuse to talk about it. Boomers would rather discuss their colonoscopies. And guess what? The cast wasn't acting. They were actually losing their minds. They filmed this in 120-degree heat, wearing the same sweaty clothes every day. At one point they were like, "Should we call OSHA?" And OSHA said, "No, Queen." And before we even get to Leatherface, before we get to the meat hooks and the family dinner from hell, this movie hits you with grave robbing. A hitchhiker who treats self-harm like a party trick. If you think you remember this movie, you don't. You remembered the PG-13 version your brain edited to protect you. I'm about to walk you through the real version. Buckle up, babe. We're going straight to hell, and I'm driving. Let's jump into Texas Chainsaw Massacre before I lose my remaining stability. So, what even happened? Great question. 5 friends, vibing in a van, road tripping through Texas to check if Sally's grandfather's grave got robbed. Which, great start. Love a plot that begins with corpse theft. And then, because this is the 70s, and nobody had the concept of personal safety, they pick up a hitchhiker. I'm telling you, if I see someone walking on a road in 2025, I lock my doors, roll up my windows, and pretend I'm deaf, blind, and on a mission from God. These idiots? They're like, "Hop in, king." So the second this man steps inside, he's like, "Want to see pictures of cows dying? My family slaughters animals." Sir, please, we have not even exchanged names. Maybe ask how our day is going before discussing mass murder? And then, because he's determined to make this the worst Uber ride ever, he asks to borrow Franklin's knife and cuts his own hand open, like he's auditioning for America's Got Self-Harm. And somehow, they don't immediately throw him out like a piece of spoiled meat. This is peak 70s horror logic. Be polite, die mind your business, die give a weirdo a ride, extra die. In 2025, the hitchhiker would approach the van and the entire group would be like, "Alexa, call 911. You guys know I'm right. Oh, then random hitchhiker slices Franklin's arm, laughs like a gremlin, takes a photo of them, charges them money for it, burns it, smears blood everywhere, and they still don't go to the police. At this point, I deserve to die watching this because the decision-making is contagious. And fun fact, this hitchhiker is part of the cannibal family. This was literally the universe warning them. Mistake number 1 of approximately 47. The group starts running out of gas because even their car has given up on their survival. They stop at a gas station where the owner says they'll have fuel later, which is Texas code for, "You're gonna die here, sweetie." So Kirk and Pam decide to walk to a random house for gas. Oh, perfect. You meet the world's most deranged hitchhiker and your next move is to trespass on private property? Bold choice, guys. So then they break both horror rules immediately. 1. Don't split up. 2. Don't go into random houses in the middle of nowhere. Kirk steps inside like he's checking into an Airbnb. He hears weird noises. Does he leave? Of course not. Leatherface then pops out like a 300-pound jump scare and hammers him in the skull so fast, Kirk doesn't even get a last thought. Not a scream, not a run. Just bonk. Dead. It's the most efficient murder I've ever seen. It's so abrupt your brain doesn't have time to protect itself. This moment walked so every other slasher kill could run. Anyways, Pam walks in looking for Kirk. She discovers a room decorated entirely in bones, feathers, and nightmare fuel. And she still doesn't leave instantly. If I walked into a room full of human finger furniture, I would pull my eyeballs out of my head and add them to the bowl that's a skull on a nearby table. So Leatherface grabs Pam, hoists her up, and hangs her on a meat hook, like she's tonight's special. Then he chainsaws Kirk in front of her because apparently we're going for the trauma banquet combo meal. This is the most disturbing scene in the movie. Not because of gore, but because your brain fills in everything they don't show. Love that for us. Pam is hanging there alive, unable to move, watching her boyfriend get filleted like a Costco rotisserie chicken. That's not just horror. That's emotional damage. But listen, one time I watched this at 3 a.m. and couldn't eat meat for a week. And by week, I mean 36 hours because I'm weak and chicken nuggets exist. So Jerry goes looking for everyone, finds Pam in a freezer, just casually chilling like she's a leftover casserole. She pops up still alive like, surprise! Then Leatherface hammer kills Jerry too. 3 down, 2 to go. That was fast. Sally and Franklin argue their way through the woods. Franklin is the human embodiment of a mosquito bite, annoying, itchy, and makes everyone suffer. Then Leatherface bursts through the bushes and chainsaws Franklin in the chest. And listen, I'm not saying we were rooting for it, but also, I'm not saying that. Sally runs like she's chasing a Black Friday sale. She finds the gas station and thinks she's safe, but plot twist, the old man who works there is also part of the cannibal family. Oh my god, of course he is. Texas really said, trust no one. He kidnaps Sally, brings her back to the cannibal Airbnb from hell, and ties her to a chair made of bones. Sweetie, you should have just stayed in the van. Sally wakes up at the dinner table with Leatherface, Hitchhiker, the old man, and Grandpa, who looks like he's been dead since the Civil War. They're all laughing, arguing, poking her, and discussing who gets dibs on killing her, like she's a chore on a family to-do list. This is the most uncomfortable scene in horror history. Sally is screaming for 10 straight minutes. I'm screaming. My ancestors are screaming. They're treating murder like it's a family bonding activity. Grandpa keeps dropping the hammer like he's 900 years old, which he basically is. The hitchhiker is giggling. Leatherface is pouting. It's the world's worst Thanksgiving. Every torture porn movie, Saw, Hostel, all of them stole from this scene. But none of them feel this real, because none of their actors were actually dying of heat and emotional collapse on set. Marilyn Burns wasn't acting. She was living her worst day ever on camera. That sweat, real. That screaming, real. That mental breakdown, also real. Me too, Queen. My family dinners are awkward, but at least nobody tries to hit me with a hammer. Well, excluding that one Thanksgiving, but we don't talk about that. Anyways, Sally breaks free and leaps through a window like she's auditioning for Fast and Furious, Rural Edition. She sprints down the road with the stamina of a woman powered entirely by trauma and spite. She flags down a truck. The truck driver hits the hitchhiker with the vehicle. Instant death. Casual vehicular manslaughter. Love that for him. Another pickup truck appears, grabs Sally, drives her away while Leatherface is in the road throwing an absolute tantrum. This show ends with Leatherface twirling his chainsaw in the sunrise, like he's performing an interpretive dance about rage and childhood neglect. It's art. Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't the goriest slasher. Honestly, it barely counts as gory at all, but it's the most effective because it makes your brain do the heavy lifting. Without this movie, we don't get Halloween, Friday the 13th, or any of the slashers that built horror as we know it. Leatherface walked so Michael Myers could lurk. If you also make terrible decisions and would definitely die first in a horror movie, subscribe. We spiral every Tuesday and Friday around here, and I promise it'll always be unhinged. Stay safe, don't pick up hitchhikers, and if your gas station owner looks suspicious, just run, babe. See you soon.